Good morning everyone, I'm Liz Forgan, Chair of the Arts Council, and we are at Swiss Cottage Library in Camden in London to talk about the future of library services as at the beginning of the online thinking and consulting process. I'd now just like to ask everyone to introduce themselves and explain where they come from so you know where our opinions have originated. Why don't you start, Brian?
My name is Brian Gambles and I'm Assistant Director Culture for Birmingham City Council.
My name's Ciara Eastal, I'm Head of Libraries for Devon County Council.
My name's Janene Cox. I'm the Commissioner for Tourism and the Cultural County within Staffordshire County Council.
Hi, I'm Nikki Parker. I'm Head of Transformation and Business Improvement for Manchester City Council and the President of the Society of Chief Librarians.
And I'm Antonio Rizzo, and I'm the Head of Library and Information Services for the London Borough of Lewisham. I'm also a member of the Executive of the Association of London Chief Librarians.
And I'm Mike Clarke, Head of Libraries here at Camden, so welcome to everyone. And I'm also Chair of the Association of London Chief Librarians.
If I was somebody leaving school and thinking I'd like to go and be a librarian, what on earth training do you now have to undergo to prepare you for this huge range of skills and activities that you're going to be expected to contribute to?
I think we will see in the next 10 years a much greater move around a very positive engagement with volunteers within local community settings, and what one would hope is that there's a sort of mutual benefit of that for the volunteer, a really great opportunity to use the skills and acquire new ones, but also from a library perspective to really engage, use that as a way to engage with the local community and benefit from a much greater diversity of skills.
Glad we've touched upon volunteers really, because we've had a debate within the Society of Chief Librarians about volunteers, with a recognition that over the years actually we've all worked with volunteers. They add a rich variety to what we do, and that's about the way we involve local people in our organisations. What we're seeing more recently is a movement away from involve to devolve, and I think that's going to be a very interesting thing to watch over time, where we're actually talking about devolving the delivery of services to volunteers, which is not the same as involving. So we don't want to make a distinction between involve and devolve, and we'll probably all have a different view about that. But my view is that we still need librarians at the heart of it, but they need a new core body of knowledge.
How do you see new technology, digital technology in libraries transforming the service and adding benefits to people?
Absolutely, as an opportunity. I think whenever we've seen new technology, different waves of it coming in, it's always been seen by some people as a threat. And I think 15 years ago, there was a lot of people who thought we shouldn't go near computers in libraries. If we hadn't done that, libraries would be dead by now. There'd be no public library service to speak of left. I think the current debate about e-books is very interesting, because clearly we're at the same stage as we were with computers 15 years ago. We're trying to work out what our role is. We're trying to work out how we can provide this new resource, how we can mediate it. I think we can't pretend it's not going to happen.
I think the opportunities lie in mobile technology, though, less in the box on the desk. And I think we're still that's a today kind of problem really, and I think we need to think about the direction that IT is going in, and it's less about desks on boxes, it's more about Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and mobile phones and everything that you can do on your mobile phone, and that's the world we need to engage with. Not a debate about books and e-books. It's a debate about how we can use technology to make our library services better. It's not even really a debate about whether a person stamps your book out or whether you use a machine. That's a today issue as well. We need to do some thinking about the future.
There may be an assumption that everybody is e-savvy, and I think that I think beyond 10 years perhaps this won't be a problem, but I do think certainly for the next 5 years in any case there are huge swathes of the population who don't have the skills or access to the technology that they now need to live their everyday lives.
Is there a conversation to be had about rethinking the relationship between big major libraries like the one we're talking in now and neighbourhood little round the corner libraries, or are we still using the old network?
One of the challenges that we have is that somehow there is an intrinsic force into the library building. Somehow we get attracted to concentrating
on the actual building. I think that what we need to do is explode that and think about what the library service has to offer. One of the things is, which is what Nikki was just saying, is making sure that this library service is able to respond to the needs of the community. What is really interesting is that small community libraries may become even more lively, and this is really about making sure that the library space, this sort of civic space, is not only responsive, but is flexible enough to adapt to what it is that is needed by the local community. Some of our community libraries are run by Eco-Computer Systems. This is a social enterprise that works with local volunteers to recycle IT. They recycle these computers that are donated to them by high street banks and large corporations, and they donate those to local residents, adding a broadband to their houses, and they also trained them in the use of new technologies, and all of that is happening in one of our libraries that we could not sustain as a council.
So this suggests a very kind of fluid fourth core purpose, if I understand you rightly, that reading and books, information and learning resources can be provided in big buildings or electronically or in all kinds of ways, but the civic space idea is infinitely flexible and requires a certain level of neighbourliness. I mean, a civic space has to be kind of near you, and it has to have a human ingredient in it. It cannot be entirely electronic. So you have this sort of core of library services with weird things happening around the edge, all still called libraries, but just being a place that people think of as theirs, accessible and friendly and not frightening.
That the physical presence has changed. If you think, go back 150 years, we built big civic buildings with columns outside and lions outside, and built with philanthropic effort, and then you think about how over the years that kind of design has changed, and there are loads of new libraries that are being built at the moment or refurbished, from little small community libraries to Brian's great big library that's going to be the biggest one wherever, and our own central library, which is a big iconic building in the centre of Manchester, and there would be a huge outcry if we did something else with that building. So there is an attachment to buildings. People really, they love their building, but those buildings are changing.
We forget at our peril that the judgment that people will pass is on their local experience and on their local library. And they're quite right to do that. So we have to deliver both great city centre libraries or town centre libraries, but we also have to deliver great community libraries. And the technology is there now to enable us to transfer the benefits from the centre to the periphery, as we've never done it before.
Together with all of this that we discussed, there is still a lot that has to do with the book and the love of reading. So that part that is definitely part of what libraries are about is for us really the given. We are thinking about a lot more that goes around that, and we're not discarding the role that the book and the promotion of the love of reading sort of has in transforming people's lives.
But in terms of the live experience, I think as more things go online, people want to experience live literature as has been shown with music. People want to return to something that's kind of authentic and close to them, and I think that's a real role for libraries in terms of their community role, and certainly in Devon, in a rural authority very far from London, where people can easily access a range of cultural experiences. Actually having an author, often a high-profile author, come to your community that you can engage with, that you as a potential writer can meet with and understand. I think that's really, really important.
I want to thank you all very much indeed for helping us to pull out some of the strands in this argument, and we'll conclude the argument there. Thank you.